Good afternoon. I'm Nick Altiero, and I'm the Dean of the School of Science and Engineering here at Tulane University. And I'd like to welcome all of you to our second webinar. The first webinar was about a month ago, I guess, and this one will carry on from where we left off there and talk some more about the future of the School of Science and Engineering at Tulane. It's my understanding we're going to start today with a poll, and the poll will come up on the screen, and it asks what your affiliation is with Tulane University. We're just trying to get an idea of what the audience is for these webinars. So I believe this poll should come up here at some point. It'll be up about 30 seconds and allow you to check in. There it is. So please take a moment here to just check on one of those boxes, and this will give us a good idea of the demographics of our audience. Today I want to talk about the future of the School of Science and Engineering. And what I'd like to do is give you a little bit of a context today about what the School of Science and Engineering, what the principles that it's based on, an idea of how the strategic plan for the school is evolving, where I see the school going over the next 10, 15, 20 years, and how all of you can help us to achieve the vision of the School of Science and Engineering. I'd like to start off with the next slide, which is a little bit of context of what the school, sort of the premise on which the school is built. So that first bullet point there says engineering now versus engineering then. What I mean by that is back when I was an engineering student, back in the late 60s, the separation between scientific discovery and engineering innovation was measured in years. And so a scientific discovery would be made, and then years later, that discovery would lead to some sort of a major innovation in engineering. So science and math, both, are the foundation of engineering, but there was this lag time. And the science primarily was the physical sciences. There was very little of the biological sciences or the behavioral sciences insofar as the effect on engineering designs and engineering innovations. That was then. Today is completely different. Several things have changed. One is that the time between a scientific discovery and an engineering innovation is short, very short, and getting shorter all the time. And in order to be globally competitive, that time between a scientific discovery and an engineering innovation needs to be minimized. The other thing is that it's not just the physical sciences anymore. While the physical sciences are doing amazing things at the nanoscale, the biological sciences with molecular biology is having a huge impact now on engineering applications. And the behavioral sciences are beginning to have a very, very major effect on engineering innovations. So this is a very different environment than it was back when I was a student, and a very different environment than it was just maybe 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And so now this acronym has evolved, STEM, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. And STEM is an acronym that recognizes that science, technology, engineering, and mathematics are all tightly integrated and tightly interdependent upon one another. And it's driving a whole new way of looking at engineering and a whole new way of looking at science. The other thing that's happening is because of the introduction of more and more biology into engineering and technology, there's a convergence not only occurring among science, engineering, and mathematics, but also medicine. And more you'll see more and more applications that where medicine is being driven by engineering innovations. I heard the other day that the University of Illinois is actually about to introduce a medical school based entirely on engineering. And so it'll be a whole new way of looking at medicine. So that whole evolution of STEM has a big effect on how we're designing the School of Science and Engineering. A few years ago, the National Academy of Engineering listed what they considered to be the grand challenges of the 21st century. Now, this was a panel of experts that sat down and put these together. And these grand challenges, you may have others, but this is what the National Academy specified as the grand challenges. And these grand challenges are driving a lot of activities in the scientific and engineering community. If you look on the screen, We list them there. They're make solar energy economical, provide energy from fusion, develop carbon sequestration methods, manage the nitrogen cycle, provide access to clean water, restore and improve urban infrastructure, advance health informatics, engineer better medicines, reverse engineer the brain, prevent nuclear terror, secure cyberspace, enhance virtual reality, advance personalized learning, and engineer the tools of scientific discovery. All of those grand challenges fall into the areas of the environment, of energy, of health, security, personalized learning, discovery. These are grand challenges that are not only going to require breakthroughs in engineering, they're going to require breakthroughs in science and breakthroughs in computing. And grand challenges such as these are what's driving the education of scientists and engineers in today's world. The Tulane School of Science and Engineering is unique, and I use the word unique meaning one of a kind. Not only have we integrated the physical sciences and engineering and mathematics into one school, we have also integrated the biological sciences into that school and the behavioral sciences into that school. Having all of the science and engineering disciplines in one school gives us a unique opportunity to really integrate these disciplines in ways that others will be following in the future. The next slide shows our mission and vision statements that we have in our strategic plan for the School of Science and Engineering. The SSE mission is to provide outstanding opportunities for learning and discovery in science and engineering, and to foster an environment that is student-focused, research-intensive, transdisciplinary, entrepreneurial, and responsive to the needs of society and the community. And in a very succinct vision statement, we have that we envision a school in which scientists and engineers learn, discover, and innovate collaboratively. We're a university, so learning is what we're all about, of course. Discovery is the area of science. Scientists just love to discover things. That's the point of what they do. Innovation is the realm of engineering. Engineers like to create new things, new innovations. To do all of this collaboratively drives the process, and drives the process in ways that we've not driven it in the past. There's a quote that's been going around out there. I don't know to whom to attribute this quote. I wish I did. But I think this quote could very well be the motto of the School of Science and Engineering. And the quote is, "Without science, engineering would have no roots. Without engineering, science would bear no fruit." And that's exactly what the School of Science and Engineering addresses. In our mission, we have 4 cornerstones. And again, this is all in our strategic plan. And the 4 cornerstones of the school are undergraduate education, doctoral education and research, K12 STEM education, and technology commercialization. We identified undergraduate education and doctoral education and research as 2 cornerstones of the school because we are one of the largest undergraduate schools at Tulane with almost 1/3 of the undergraduate students. And at the graduate level, we are the largest doctoral program at Tulane by quite a significant margin. And we are among the 3 largest research schools in terms of research funding, along with the School of Medicine and the School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine, 2 very close partners of ours in the research enterprise. In terms of outreach, reaching out to our community and to the region, we want to reach out with our strengths. Our strengths are science and engineering education and research. And so in reaching out to the community, we've identified 2 major themes. One is K12 STEM education, and the other is technology commercialization. And I'll talk a little bit about that as we go. The next slide has our current academic programs. And as you can see, we have programs in the behavioral, biological, chemical, geological, mathematical, and physical science and engineering areas. The matrix isn't full yet. There are some holes. And filling those holes is something to which I'm dedicated and which is part of the school's strategic vision for the future. What you can see is that there are no engineering programs tied to psychology in the behavioral area, and neural engineering or something at the interface of psychology and engineering I think is is something that this school definitely should pursue in the future. In the geological area, there's nothing there. I currently have a task force looking at the intersection of geology, of the earth sciences, and engineering. And actually, we have some funding from donors to get that activity moving. In the mathematical area, we have a brand new computer science program. That program is at the bachelor's degree only at this point, and so moving that into the doctoral, into graduate education, especially doctoral education, is a top priority. And in the physical area, we have an engineering physics program, which is very, very popular now, but coming up with a doctoral program in material science and engineering or a related field is, again, one of the priorities of the school. So I think this shows where we have some work to do in terms of the academic side. Let me take a few minutes to address undergraduate education and to address scholarship research activity in the school. As you know, Tulane has a new president, President Mike Fitz, who joined us this year. And one of the first things that President Fitz did was to establish 2 task forces at Tulane. One of the task forces has been charged with looking at ways to enhance the undergraduate experience. And the other task force is looking at interdisciplinary scholarship at the university and what can be done to increase interdisciplinary activities. So those 2 areas are 2 areas that I'd like to address from the context of the School of Science and Engineering. Let's start with the undergraduate curriculum. Recently, again, going back to the National Academy of Engineering. So when the National Academy of Engineering identified these grand challenges, they also suggested the idea of a grand challenge curriculum. And a number of universities around the country now have embraced this concept of a grand challenge curriculum and are tailoring a lot of their programs to this kind of an approach. We've joined a consortium of universities dedicated to creating grand challenges curricula at Tulane. And on the slide, you can see what the elements of such a program are. Element 1, a creative learning experience connected to the grand challenges, such as a research or design project. Now, the grand challenges don't necessarily have to be just the ones identified by the National Academy of Engineering. Other organizations have been identifying grand challenges, but the whole concept of a grand challenge, it goes back sort of like to the space program or the human genome program, where there's a challenge out there, and we all work together to achieve a common goal, to solve one of society's biggest problems. And so research and design are 2 hallmarks of the programs in the School of Science and Engineering. A very large percentage of our students do research. The engineering students, of course, all do design. And so this is something we have in our curriculum, and targeting it towards critical areas like in the health sciences, in energy, environment, security, etc., is clearly something that we intend to do. An authentic experiential learning with clients and mentors that includes interdisciplinary experience in fields such as public policy, business, law, medicine, ethics, and communications. Tulane has very strong schools, professional schools, a law school, a business school, a school of medicine, a school of liberal arts. Partnering with those schools across campus, we are integrating more and more concepts into our curriculum that make our students good citizens, not just good scientists and engineers. The authentic experiential learning is really important, and this is something else that we are building into our curriculum. Entrepreneurship and innovation experience, such as the startup of a new initiative, dissemination of technology, or coursework in our entrepreneurship. The amount of intellectual property generated by the School of Science and Engineering is accelerating, and we are very involved in startups and technology commercialization. Our students are really driving most of that, and I'll comment on that shortly. Global and cross-cultural perspectives gained through experiences that promote involvement with globally complex issues in unfamiliar environments, such as a semester abroad. Tulane has expansive study abroad programs, and our students are very large percentage of our students are engaged in those. And this last bullet is something that Tulane is recognized as a national leader. Development of social consciousness through service learning, such as problem-based community projects that foster an appreciation of the impact of science and engineering and their role in serving human welfare and the needs of society. I took a little bit of license on this one. Since it came from the National Academy of Engineering, it refers to engineering, but I think each one of these bullets applies equally to students in the sciences and mathematics. So that's what we're looking at in terms of our curriculum. I think those 5 enhancements to the curriculum, again, they're things that we are all already doing at various levels, but we will put more energy into enhancing those experiences going forward. The next slide shows some of the elements of our strategic vision. In our strategic vision, we've identified 2 cross-cutting, we call them transdisciplinary scholarly themes. These cut across the entire school, touch on virtually all of our departments, and reach beyond the boundaries of the school to the other schools on the campus and to partners outside of Tulane. The 2 cross-cutting scholarly transdisciplinary themes that we have identified are energy, environment, and sustainability, and health and cognition. If you look at these 2 areas and you look at the strengths that we have in the school, we have a lot of strength in both of these areas. And these are areas where we can get the most bang for the buck in terms of future investments. And these are areas we intend to continue to build. We've identified 2 enabling technologies that we're investing in heavily. One of those is computing, data, and computation. Everything, as you know, is driven nowadays by computing, by data, by modeling of complex systems. These are the tools of scientists and engineers and everybody else in society, as a matter of fact. And so developing those tools and implementing those tools is I call that an enabler of doing great science and engineering. The other is advanced materials and devices. Of course, everything is made of materials. Material science is making breakthroughs every single day at the micro and the nano level. And these are all, this includes biomaterials as well. And so the ability to make things one molecule at a time actually exists. And making devices at the micro and nano scale is driving engineering innovation in ways that we never imagined just a few short years ago. And then our 2 community engagement themes, K12 STEM Education and technology commercialization, and those are 2 areas that we have been growing very dramatically over the past several years. So let's take these one set at a time. Let's look at the scholarly themes first. The scholarly theme, energy, environment, and sustainability, I'm looking to invest more in those programs. Again, we have quite a few strengths in those areas, but some of the things where I think we need to really put more emphasis in terms of our fundraising and our getting resources to the right place. One of those is, as I said earlier, the interface between the earth sciences and engineering. Producing graduates that understand both geology and engineering will equip folks to go out there and look at some of the big problems, a lot of which affect our region. And we call it right now, we're calling it geofluids engineering, but that's just a placeholder at this point. We're looking at all sorts of different possibilities here. As I said, I have a task force right now made up of earth scientists and engineers who are putting together some ideas for us to follow through on. We have obtained some funding at this point, about $1.5 million to date, being targeted to the interface of engineering with the earth sciences, and this is going to be a big emphasis area for us going forward, especially with fundraising. We also are putting a lot of resources into clean energy research. We have recently filled the position of Energy Chair for Clean Energy Engineering, and we are now in the process of filling out one floor of Flower Hall, our new building. About half of that floor would be occupied by this particular professor and his team, but then building around that more and more in the way of clean energy research and interfacing that clean energy research with the environmental, so bringing together the environmental and energy themes into one area. We also, as I may have mentioned last time in the webinar, Tulane is going to be building a river campus. We have property on the riverfront, just behind the convention center, and that we have a long-range plan to develop that property to do primarily research and studies and the history and the culture of the river. The first building is about to go up, and we're going to be putting some boats in the water there, and some of the scientists from the School of Science and Engineering who are looking at delta, the dynamics of the delta and river sedimentation and coastal change, will have a base there. That'll be the beginning, hopefully, of a great facility in the future. We're going to be looking for some distinguished endowed chairs in these areas, because these are areas I think where we're bringing in some top-notch senior talent will make a big impact in carrying that theme forward. The second scholarly theme, health and cognition. Again, what I have here are just some bullet points of things that we are big initiatives for us going forward. We are doing a lot in the area of bioinnovation. We have a doctoral program in bioinnovation now. We have a lot of startup companies, spin-off companies coming out of science and engineering, and a very large percentage of them are biotech companies. And so this is an area where we need to, first off, we need to continue to build that doctoral program. It is a great doctoral program where the students do research, they do dissertations, but their objective then is to market their ideas and to be entrepreneurial. It's a different track for doctoral education. We're going to be introducing more and more bioinnovation at the undergraduate level as well. We have a Center for Anatomical Science, which is a center where students actually can get experience with human cadavers. It's located out of the Riley Center right now. It's not a welcomed tenant out there, and so moving it into the Science and Engineering Complex is something that I'd like to do in the relatively near future. On the right, you can see something called the Brain Institute. We have a very, very strong neuroscience program at Tulane, and the neuroscience program transcends campuses. The faculty and students in this program are both on the Uptown campus in the School of Science and Engineering and on the downtown campus in the School of Medicine and the School of Public Health and Tropical Medicine. Neuroscience is very strong here. They have a doctoral program, they have a master's program, they have, I believe, the largest undergraduate program on campus right now. And they have put together a proposal to take that activity and actually make it an institute, an interdisciplinary university-level institute at Tulane called the Brain Institute, where they would focus on excellence in neurodegeneration, memory and cognition, hormones in the brain, and autonomous nervous system. These areas are areas in which we already have some strengths, and again, with prudent investment, we can make a huge difference there. Ultimately, my goal is really to have a neural engineering program. The neuroscience program here does have several engineers now that have joined into that group and will be part of the Brain Institute. And ultimately, I see more and more engineering being added on to, be complementing the great neuroscience work that we're doing here at Tulane. Enabling technologies. This one has to do with it should be computing, data, and computation. The big thing there is to add a Department of Computer Science. We have a Department of Computer Science now. The Department of Computer Science has an undergraduate major. We are adding faculty as fast as we can, and we are growing that department, and we'll be introducing a doctoral program as soon as we can, and we're going to be looking for funding for that program. I know there are a lot of folks out there that are thrilled to see computer science back at Tulane University, and now we need them to step up and help us to create the resources we need to make this department successful. The next enabling technology is advanced materials and devices. We have a new clean room at Tulane, which is very, very active. We have integrated it now into the coordinated instrumentation facility, which is a very nice facility. It's a collection of state-of-the-art instrumentation, microscopes, etc., that is operated centrally, and faculty members can get access to it. And the clean room is just added to its suite of instruments that can be used by our faculty and students. And we would like to invest in that and build that even to a higher level. The engineering physics program is very, very successful. It is ABET accredited along with biomedical engineering and chemical engineering. The enrollment is growing. We want to expand that program, add a doctoral component to it, and build more lab facilities for that activity. Community engagement, K12 STEM education. We have built a huge, have had a huge impact in the city of New Orleans and the greater New Orleans area in K12 STEM education. This is something where we both participate as partners with others in running the science and engineering fair and running the robotics competitions and other activities in the city, and where we have multiple programs on campus that are growing very, very fast, like the Tulane Science Scholars Program and others. The goal of this activity is to inspire young people to pursue STEM fields and to help prepare them to be successful when they do pursue STEM fields. And I think that students deciding that they like or dislike STEM occurs back in the 3rd or 4th grade. And what we can do as a university is to help our colleagues in K12 education to really make science, engineering, and mathematics something exciting and alive for young people. The other area is technology commercialization. It has been unbelievable what's happened in the School of Science and Engineering over the last 3 or 4 years. We are up now to well over 20 patent disclosures a year. We have 10 startup companies that I can think of off the top of my head. We've got their logos up there on the screen. This is something that is happening very, very fast. And to be honest with you, I'm scrambling to keep up with what the students and faculty are doing in this area. In order to facilitate more of this activity, we have a lot of initiatives out there. And the Center for Technology and Commercialization is the umbrella for those initiatives. One of the things is a makerspace. For those of you that went to Tulane and remember the old machine shop, I doubt that any of you remember back when it was a blacksmith shop, but it started off a blacksmith shop, evolved into a machine shop, and now it's going to be a makerspace. And that makerspace will have a mezzanine area where students will be able to come in teams. Every major on campus can be there, come up with their ideas, design them, have access to workstations and whiteboards and tables, and then be able to send their ideas down to the ground floor where we will have modern manufacturing equipment, 3D printers, laser cutters, etc., so we'll be able to make prototypes. We see this as a place where all of the entrepreneurial students on campus, regardless of discipline, will collaborate with each other, and it could be a real hot center for more and more technology transfer out of the School of Science, out of Tulane University. We just completed our first Novel Tech Challenge, which was a challenge we had where student teams could compete, and we provided them with mentors and with access to modern equipment and with some money so that they could put their ideas together and come up with business plans based on technologies, and that was highly successful. So there are some things there on the slide that we have that we'll be looking for there. So we'd like your help. We've got these initiatives are just a sampling of the many things we're doing in the school. I hope you got from my remarks what our motivation is, what our themes are, how I see these investments as promoting that theme and making us even stronger than we already are. So please let us know how you can help. If you're in a position to help provide internships for our students, that would be great. If you're recruiting and you're looking for some really incredibly smart and talented young people, we've got graduates that are looking for jobs every year, of course. We'd like to have you come and give seminars, participate in our annual events, and support our campaign. In the campaign, we'll be rolling out the details of that campaign in the days ahead. But I I think I've highlighted for you some of the key elements of that campaign. So I hope I've left a half hour here maybe for Q&A. That was my hope anyway. Before I do that though, there's another poll. And so if we could put the second poll up on the screen, and to be honest with you, I forgot what the second poll is about. It's what topic would you like to hear more about? So you can help inform future webinars. And so the next time maybe I can come on and address a topic. If I didn't address the topic that you really are the most interested in today, if you can check a box there. I don't know if we have all a place to add your own, but if you want to add your own, just send me an email or something, and we can embellish on some of these and address other topics in webinars in the future. And so, so with that, I think what I will do is turn it over to you. And as we did the last time, if you would enter your question, someone's here writing them all down and holding them up so that I can see what they are, and I'll try to address as many of them as I can. So the first question is, why was a coordinate major in CS developed rather than a standalone major? Okay, that's a very good question. There are two reasons for doing it this way. One is a very pragmatic reason, and that is that in building a computer science department, you build it one faculty member at a time, and we were in a hurry to introduce computer science into the curriculum, and we just didn't have the workforce, the faculty staff and staff, to provide a full-blown major right out of the gate. The coordinate major, however, wasn't just an effort to do something with us when we weren't quite ready to do the full-blown thing. The coordinate major has turned out to be incredibly popular, and for those of you that don't know what a coordinate major is, what a coordinate major is, it's a major that you have to take in collaboration with another major. So you can't just be a standalone major right now in computer science. You'd have to be a major in computer science and biomedical engineering, or computer science and business, or computer science and art, or computer science and public health. And the way the program works is you have a core of computer science courses that you must take, but then your senior project, which every Tulane student must do a capstone project, that senior project would be at the intersection of your two majors, computer science and whatever your other major is. So we have a class, I think our first class was 20, 30 students, and they're from all across campus. They're from science and engineering, of course. They're from business. They're from art. And I think that it's a very popular program. In fact, this year was the first year we offered it, and we didn't even have admission into it this year because wasn't even advertised last year. And we've already got 20 or 30 students in it, so it's going to be interesting to see how many freshmen opt for the coordinate major. A full major is in the future, but the first step now will be to do the doctoral program. And the reason for doing the doctoral program next is we've hired some incredibly talented faculty members, and they're doing cutting-edge research, and they have graduate students, and we need a whole program for those graduate students. So that's the logic behind what we're doing in computer science. Another question, please. So the next question is, what types of employments do graduates from the PEP program, what types of employment do graduates from the engineering physics program go into? So engineering physics, again, this is a program that we're not the only engineering physics program in the country. There are quite a few of them. It is an ABET accreditable program, and ours is indeed ABET accredited. It's ABET accredited through 2020, just like biomedical engineering and chemical engineering are. The engineering physics program is based on the applications of cutting-edge physics to engineering. In cutting-edge physics, the cutting-edge physics I'm referring to at Tulane is material science. So new materials, advanced devices, the applications of those to engineering. So we're preparing students who will be engineers that are really kind of understand the amazing things that can be done with new materials. I've been tracking that program very carefully, obviously, because it is a new program, and a lot of people have asked questions about it. And so I've been tracking the graduates. And interestingly enough, about half of the graduates have been going into industry, and about half of the graduates have been going to graduate school. The graduates that are going in industry are going into industry at every level. We have one who's at General Motors. We have one who is at Lockheed Martin. We have one who is at Blade Dynamics in New Orleans East. So it's a wide variety of different industries. A lot of these students are doing internships now with Entergy, with Latrim, and with others, and so they are finding homes in industry if that's the path that they seek. Usually through an internship. They have a required internship, and that's been the path that most of them have taken. The ones that have gone into graduate school, interestingly enough, they've gone to the best graduate schools in the country. We have 2 at Columbia right now, 2 at Stanford, 1 at Northwestern. Interestingly enough, not all of them have gone into materials engineering at the graduate level. Many of them have gone into civil, mechanical, and electrical, which is fine. And I've kept in touch with many of them, and they're doing quite well. So the program is successful. I will put a plug in here. We're always looking for internships for our engineering physics students. So if you have a position where you'd like a bright student to come in for a summer and take a look at them and have them take a look at you, I strongly recommend our engineering physics students. Okay, next question. Have you considered a rotational co-op program for majors such as ChemE with strong ties to industry? Yeah, that's a really good question. That question comes up quite often. We don't have a traditional co-op program at Tulane. We do have internship programs. All of our engineering physics students must do an internship. All of the chemical engineering students must do something called practice school. Internships are very popular across all of our majors, science and engineering. The reason that Tulane has never gone to a formal co-op program is because of our size primarily. In order to have an effective co-op program, you have to be able to offer courses every semester. Because the way a co-op program works is the student will do 1 semester on campus, 1 semester in industry, then maybe a summer on campus, whatever. It works very well at trimester schools or quarter schools where you can rotate like that, and where courses are offered every semester. So if you can't take the course in fall, you can take it in spring because you might be with industry in the fall. Students that come to Tulane, first off, the programs aren't huge. That's part of the attraction to coming to Tulane. And also, they all graduate in 4 years. And co-op students don't graduate in 4 years. It's in the nature of the program that they don't graduate in 4 years. So we've never gone that route, although I know there are some universities that have very effective co-op programs. What is the biggest hurdle today in attracting stellar faculty? Facilities, location? Okay. That's another very good question. Let me start with the location because I think that that's a really interesting, New Orleans is a unique place. What I have found is that New Orleans is a real plus for attracting junior faculty. Young people are flocking to New Orleans. They see it as a good place to be. The school system has gotten much, much better than it used to be. And so with young people, it's a definite plus. With more senior people like me, sometimes it's a little bit of a harder sell. Maybe they just don't get it. I don't know what it is, but with young faculty, with young recruits, it is a real plus. We have been able to offer competitive salaries, and so that has not really been a big issue for us. The bigger issue is what's called salary compression, and that is that the starting salaries for talented scientists and engineers are going up fast, and the raises that we've been able to give at Tulane have not been going up fast. And so what will happen is they will hire a junior faculty member, and that junior faculty member may be doing quite well and get reasonable raises. But because the competitive starting salaries are going up faster, a few years later we're hiring somebody in at more than that person's making. And that compression, it's not just Tulane, every university in the country suffers from that. The biggest challenge in terms of recruiting faculty, 2 challenges. Facilities are a big one. Facilities are a big one. What I've been doing is every time I hire a new faculty member, we remodel a lab and space for that individual. It's the only way we can be competitive. plus very talented new faculty require very large startup packages. That's become the way you get new faculty. So it's a very, very expensive business. I think we've done extremely well in bringing in talented faculty over the last 10, 15 years, but it has been very expensive, and it's been a challenge. But I'm proud of the faculty we've built in the School of Science and Engineering. Yeah. As a chemical engineer, how do you propose to increase chemical engineering's entrepreneurial activity? So the entrepreneurial activity in the School of Science and Engineering, while the major player in that to date has been biomedical engineering, I'd say that chemical engineering, maybe chemical engineering and physics have been the other two very big players. And what's happening in chemical engineering, they become more and more entrepreneurial. A couple of our senior faculty members, like Dr. B.J. John, for example, actually has a spin-off company that came up with his technologies. A couple of the young faculty we've hired in that department are very entrepreneurial and very interested in entrepreneurial activity. So I guess the answer to your question is I don't think I need to encourage chemical engineering. I think it's becoming more entrepreneurial all by itself. What I do want to do, though, is I want to facilitate what's happening. I want to make it accelerate what's happening. So we are doing a lot of things to stimulate entrepreneurship. Our tech transfer office, headed by John Christie, has been incredibly helpful in terms of patenting, licensing, startups, all the sorts of things that go around like intellectual property. I've got a task force looking into putting more entrepreneurial coursework and curricula into our programs. The makerspace, I think, will be a mecca for entrepreneurs in the School of Science and Engineering and across campus. I just think that that's going to be a hotbed of activity in this area. So, yeah, entrepreneurial activity is going to grow in this school. And chemical engineering, I mean, chemical engineering is that in both areas. Of course, they're active in the energy, environment, sustainability area, but also on the biomolecular side, they're very, very involved in joint projects with the medical school, with molecular biology, and with others. And a lot of the breakthroughs out of chemical engineering are coming out on the biomolecular side of the program. How do you plan to address the challenge of some professors' English proficiency? Okay, so yeah, let me address that. As you know, universities American universities attract a very large number of international scholars and students. I think it's a real strength of American universities that they're seen as the best higher ed system in the world, and great scholars and students want to come here to work and to study. The language skills of those individuals varies. Some have extremely good language skills, some are more challenged. And that's always going to be the case at a university, especially a university like ours, which is a major research university that values global diversity and bringing thought makers from all around the world together. And I know that can be a challenge in the classroom, especially for students who maybe are coming to Tulane and haven't had experience with accents. So on the one end, we try very hard to recruit graduate students. We look at English language skills in terms of the graduate students that we recruit. We look at their TOEFL scores, etc. We try to interview them, Skype or whatever, to test their language skills. We do provide English as second language courses for students who are going to be in TA positions, especially, so that any students that interface with students we work on their language skills. When we hire faculty members at Tulane, they always give a seminar as part of their interview, and so we can test how well they're understood in the classroom setting in that environment as well. So we do take measures, but I think that having different accents is just part and parcel of a university. A recent New York Times article focused on the need for women in science and engineering. Can you comment relative to the past, present, and future at Tulane? So, so first off, let me address women in science and engineering. More than half of the undergraduate students in science and engineering at Tulane are women. I believe the latest number I saw was 56% of our undergraduate students are women. We're approaching 50% at the graduate level. And the percentage on our faculty is still modest, but it's growing. Every year the percentage of women on the faculty grows as well as more women get their PhDs in STEM fields and enter the workforce. It's not even, though. There are some disciplines where there are many more women than in others. The areas where you don't see as many women are in the physical sciences and in the engineering programs that are based primarily on the physical sciences. So, for example, biomedical engineering has a very large percentage of women. Chemical engineering, chemical and biomolecular engineering has a very large percentage of women. Engineering physics does not have a large percentage of women. Physics does not. Chemistry. And so really where the issue has been on the physical sciences side. One of the things that's being done to get more women and more minorities to be interested in engineering, there was a study done a number of years ago about why do women and minorities not go into engineering disciplines at the rate that white males do. And so this national survey was done. And interestingly enough, the #1 response that they received was, we'd rather go into fields that helped people. Now, that shows a profound misunderstanding on the part of young people as to what engineers do. And so a lot of this grand challenges effort has been to recast science and engineering in terms that inspire young people to clean up the environment, to cure disease, to do things that really help people, the things that engineers and scientists have always done to help people, but maybe haven't gotten that message across in the way that we should. So I'm president of the American Society for Engineering Education, and ASEE is known for, among other things, data, keeping the most accurate data out there about students. Now, it's engineering data, it's not STEM data. But the data this year shows an uptick in the percentage of students in the STEM disciplines that are women, and we will continue to do everything we can to increase that. At this point, my associate dean for graduate programs is a woman. My associate dean for undergraduate programs is a woman. 2 of my department chairs are women. The director of the neuroscience program is a woman. So it's changing. It's changing. Next question. What is the primary objective of the cross-disciplinary activities? The primary objective. Yeah. So the reason for doing cross-disciplinary anything is in order to solve big problems, you need to bring people together that have a very deep knowledge in an area, but who can work with other people that have deep knowledge in areas that all together bring you to the solution for that problem. Not only are we working at transdisciplinary, and we use the word transdisciplinary, by the way, because it transcends disciplines. Not only have we been engaged in more and more transdisciplinary activity between scientists and engineers and mathematicians and computer scientists. The J. Bennett Johnston building in downtown New Orleans, we have now remodeled 3 or 4 floors of that building into what we call ballroom space, ballroom laboratory space, where scientists, engineers, clinicians from uptown, the School of Science and Engineering, and downtown, medicine and public health, all work together on diseases and disabilities, all bringing their expertise to the table. And it's just a perfect example of the whole being greater than the sum of the parts. You throw into that mix business faculty and students from the arts, faculty and students from public health and from from law, and you just you get solutions that you just don't get when people are siloed. Also, when you bring diverse groups together, groups that are gender diverse and ethnically diverse and culturally diverse and globally diverse, it's amazing how many different perspectives are brought onto a problem and how the problem is solved in new and exciting ways. It's a very exciting process, and when I was a student, things were very, very siloed, and it's just not like that now. And I find the new way of doing things to be incredibly dynamic. What is the best way to get involved with SSE as a young alum? Okay, well, we are looking to get more and more of our alums involved with SSE. If you're a young alum, I mean, for one thing is I don't like to always talk about money, but give to the annual fund. It doesn't have to be a lot, but the larger percentage of our alums that give to the annual fund, the more engaged we know all of you are. I always like to tell the story that when I graduated from college, I was a graduate student, I was broke, and every year I would write a check for $5 to my alma mater, Notre Dame, because I just felt that I wanted to give back, and that's led to a lifetime of my involvement with my alma mater. But other ways, we want you to share your expertise with us. Come and let us know what you're doing. If you work for a company, any area. I mean, our students want to go into all sorts of walks of life. Come and meet our students. Our students love to meet alumni, especially role models. They're always asking what alumni are doing, what positions you're in. So if you can join, come and talk to us, meet with our students. Maybe you give a seminar, maybe hire them as an intern, maybe serve on an advisory committee. There are lots of ways to help. And if you just let us know who you are, we'll be more than happy to put you to work. We love volunteers for the School of Science and Engineering. As a graduate of Tulane, is there anything I can do to help get the GeoFluids program off the ground? Yeah, so we are right now, we are putting together a proposal for how that program will work. We're very strong in geology, and we're about to get much stronger in geology. Thanks to the generosity of two of our geology alumni, Bob Marshall and Scott Heap, we now have the Marshall Heap Endowed Chair in Geology, and we're using that to attract a world-class geophysicist. And this is a person who will be kind of the interface between the geology activity and engineering. We have several other people there. We have a faculty member, a research faculty member in Earth and Environmental Sciences who is a petroleum engineer who is chairing the task force that I put together. Once we get that done, we're going to unveil it. And again, we had an alum that has already contributed a significant amount to getting that program off the ground. Freeport-McMoRan has contributed a $500,000 grant to help get that program off the ground. And once we have identified exactly what we're looking for, we'll be reaching out to folks. I think what I'm hearing is that the first effort will be a graduate level program, probably a master's level program in geofluids engineering or petroleum engineering or reservoir engineering. I'm not sure what the name will be. But again, that's something that is a brand. We've got a blank canvas on which to paint that program, and any help you can give us and your ideas, of course. Tell us what you think should be the components of such a program at Tulane. I guess we're out of time, so I'm going to have to call it a wrap, I guess. But if I didn't get to your question, please feel free to fire it off in an email or save it for next time. And there will be a next time. I'm looking forward to the next webinar. So thank you for joining us here this afternoon.